What is going on, everybody, and welcome back. We are here on the free-to-play account, the Road to Max Rank, and we are doing World Tournament, the 57th World Tournament, to be exact. Very, very exciting. So, you know how I feel about World Tournament. I think everybody really just shares the same thing. It's just a tedious grind to 30 million, or like the bare bones 21 million in order just to get all the stones and stuff. But 30 million is where everybody really just like stops grinding. Like the majority of people stop grinding just because that's where you get all the missions done, like everything done outside of maybe ranking up for local or pushing yourself a little bit higher for global, for, you know, the global rankings and stuff like that, to maybe push yourself past like 30,000, 50,000, I don't know. But you know, it literally just started like a few hours ago. Well, actually earlier today, like it's like 2 o'clock my time, right? But nonetheless, it's still, you know, World Tournament is still a grind. It's not. It's gotten a lot better over the years and months and stuff like that, for sure. Like, they've shortened the maps. They made the enemies more aggressive till they come after you instead of freaking running away. That was really annoying. And a whole bunch of other small things, right? But I still think they could do more. Maybe no cost of stamina. That would be a big one. That way you don't use stones or use your, you know, your meats and stuff like that to replenish your stamina. That's a very big annoying thing to have to deal with when grinding World Tournament, because, you know, using your stones for something that doesn't even give you link levels is kind of really annoying, right? So it's, you know, it is what it is. However, to combat that, dude, World Tournament just gives out some of the best rewards in the game. Like, in general, dude, like the amount of stuff that you get for placing even within like the top 50,000, you know, top 10,000, all that stuff, and if you really grind for it, you do get a lot out of it. You know what I mean? This isn't like you don't get a lot. You don't know. There's not a big on your return, right? This is a very, like, this is an event where you get a lot in your return, which is like why a lot of people grind so hard. You know what I mean? Even in local, you know what I'm saying? You get a lot in your return, especially now how they're doing everything. Grandpa Gohan's still the LR, which is fine, dude. I need copies of him. I really wish they would give, like, say for first place they gave you 3 copies, and say for second they gave you like, no, for second, third, 10th, 4th, and 10th they gave you 2 copies. I think that would be a nice little change. But I mean, I guess it's not the biggest thing in the world, right? You know, missions are kind of the same, right? The classic 30 million, 20 straight wins kind of thing to get everything. Though they did add link orbs and stuff like that on the characters to this as well. And while we're doing the final fight and maybe even the preliminaries, we are going to talk about the characters that are easy A and the characters that we got, right? So, so this is a team that I'm using. This is my World Tournament team. It's just a bunch of AoEs. The higher the team cost, the more points you get. But dude, STR Broly, this STR Broly is so good for giving orb support, and he himself does decent, like pretty good damage to clear out the board too. Obviously the LR, you know, this LR Broly is still top tier. I don't have a SA25. It's kind of whatever, but dude, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan got an LR Super Easy, so this guy's like next in line, or like one of the very next Super Easy A's for LRs to get it. So he could get a rework, and he could just be even more monstrous for this, for this event and other events as well. And then you obviously have the king of this, which in my opinion, and I think a lot of people would agree, Piccolo Jr. is still #1 because he's an active skill, and he could just proc it literally whenever he's on screen and wipe the entire board. With occasional, he doesn't do it because they're fizz, right? And even then, like, they still lose. So he's still the undisputed, I would say, the undisputed king for World Tournament. For sure, and it's just so easy. All right, so I want to talk about the characters that we got while we go through this. I have them on screen. So we have Max Power, Jackie Chun. We have Goku Black. We have Gotenks, and then we have the Crowmeister. I'm just gonna talk about them. I'm not really gonna go over their details all too specific or anything like that. And we're just going to go down the list while I, you know, clear out this stage. So for what I think of Max Power Jackie Chun, I think he looks really good. Obviously, do I think every single character could get a buff in some way or some, you know, small tweaks? Of course, every character in the game could have that. But him being a Kamehameha support, DB, and Earthling Saga, like Earthling category support, like that's kind of freaking crazy, dude. Like most characters will have, like, you know, two of those three, and only a handful of characters have all three, like a Krillin, you know what I mean? Or I guess Yamcha wouldn't be there just yet, or maybe he would. I guess it depends on which Yamcha you're talking about. But actually no. But for sure, like Krillin would definitely be the big one. But like Goku, DB Saga Goku with Kamehameha, he's not an Earthling, so you get the 40% attack, 40% defense. I think this Jackie Chu is a pretty good support. He gives himself a decent amount of stats, and he's a Rainbow Orb Changer. And he gets big damage. He gets like 10% damage reduction on each Rainbow Orb, so he could definitely look good. And then he has like a 50%, activation clause as well. He's not a stacker, which kind of bummy, but it's fine. But he works as a very effective support for, just say, DB Saga, if you just look at it like that, or even Earthlings, you know what I mean? He definitely works very well as a support, and I would imagine he'll do decent damage, right? Especially how characters are now. I think everybody does pretty good damage. Moving on to Goku Black. So I think Goku Black is like ridiculously good. There's a couple of reasons why I say this. So one, he's a support for Future Saga and Time Travelers. And that in and of itself is a 40% support, is really good. But because like the Goku Blacks and Zamasus all work very, very well together, and I really like how this character's built. Is if he has Zamasu and Goku Black attacking on the same turn, he gets a 200% increase to his stats, plus a great chance to crit on all allies and extra 20% defense. That's insane, bro. So for any Zamasu or Goku Black unit on the screen with him, alongside him, just in general, he gives a 60% defensive buff. Now, these are 20% in like individual procs of defense. That's crazy, bro. That's insane. That's actually pretty. That's crazy, dude, for defensive capability, for like his defensive side. And he himself is no like real slouch, you know what I mean? Or I guess he works as a good support, one that you hide and you float away and occasionally use him every so often, you know what I mean? He's still really good in that respect. But then he's built in the way that, he has guard, right? With 100% defense. And it's like, that's really good. He doesn't stack, which really sucks, but he gives an attack boost for 2 turns for extreme class allies. That's crazy, dude. I really like this guy. I really do. However, his condition having to include one of every single extreme type, so one of each type for just extreme types, it's a pretty it's a hard restriction, but it's actually not that bad. Because for the Goku Black and Zamasu, like, you have your really good tech, you have a really good AGL, you even have your really good int in the Fusion Zamasu that will eventually get an easy A. For Fizz, I guess you have the other Goku Black Fizz is, easy A himself, and then you obviously have the Dokkan Fest Goku Black with his domain and stuff that can also be the other one as well. So you definitely have a lot of options here for, I guess, a full-scale Zamasu / Goku Black team, right? And then not forget, for AGL, we are potentially going to get the Super Easy A for, AGL Rose. So there is that as well to look forward to. And then the Easy A for the Int Fusion Zamasu, right? And he himself fits the STR category, the STR type for the, the Zamasu team and stuff like that. But he doesn't need the Zamasu team to get the guard. It's just 5 extreme types. So, wherever you can put him, he just needs to have one of each type on the team in order to proc that. Though his buffs and stuff and everything, and his whole kit definitely revolves around being around the Zamasus and the Goku Black. So there is that for you, right? So, yeah. So, pretty good. Very, very great support, dude. All 3 of these are like just insane supports. And then we move on to Gotenks. So Gotenks is he's an orb changer with a he's a 60% support to any of the Gotenks, with Youth and Fusion being 2 separate procs individually. Within a turn, he builds up with every super attack. He can attack quite a lot. You got to think up to attack to 4 times. How he's built through his orbs, and every time he super attacks, he gets damage reduction within a turn. He orb changes from AGL to tech. you know, and then obviously he has some orb restrictions and stuff like that. However, he does stack, though. He's a stacking unit, which is pretty cool. Though I don't think he's going to get a lot of mileage out of it in comparison to when it comes to, I guess, say, the festival. The only reason I say that is because he's more of a defensive unit, in my opinion, and slash support than he is an offensive unit, though he is built in a way where what's it called, he is built in a way where he could be incredibly offensive, not offensive, offensive. So I do see that, but because he is stacking though, and he can attack basically 4 times in a single turn. This is interesting. Could he like just be insanely? I don't know, dude. I would have to actually see him and fight. Also, all 3 of these characters are 120% for their respective type, so which is really good for like Battlefield and stuff like that for sure. Though I think, you know, I think we're at a point now where you could just start bringing categories into Battlefield rather than just, you know, same type. But that is an option for you as well, right? I guess I would have to mess around with Gotenks because he is a stacker. I really wish the other 2 were stackers. I think they would work very well as stackers, but they're not, which is very unfortunate, but it is what it is. Did he stack in his base? He did stack without the Easy A, so I guess there is that as well. I guess they kept the originality of these characters. But they could have changed it, you know what I mean? Especially like festivals around. Come on, you know what I mean? Anyway, 60% support to literally all Gotenks because of youth and fusion. Come on, you know what I mean? Or I guess any young Gotenks. No, adult Gotenks do not work here, right? But we're still 30%, you know, 30% support for fusion is still pretty good. Moving on to Krillin. Krillin sucks. I don't like him. He's a good support for what? World tournament participants and world tournament categories specifically. It's like that's pretty much it. Like he's an HP restricted character that is built very, very poorly because he has no real defensive capabilities that are just stats. Maybe in the future when he gets an awakening, I guess he'll, I don't know, be good. But because all of his thing, like the majority of his like big HP, the like big stat percentages are based upon HP. And it's not like the biggest thing in the world when it comes to HP because it's like 90% and 70%. But it's still like not that great. But then he has one which is absolutely horrible, which is 50% or less. And he has a great chance for 200%. That's stupid. It's actually dumb. Like to have the 200% is great, but the great chance if you drop below 50%, it's like, you know what I mean? He could probably have some moments where he's just ridiculous for sure. And maybe he could do like pretty good damage for what, a non-TUR, a non-awakened card, right? And I would imagine all this is just going to increase drastically when he gets an awakening in, I don't know, in a year and a half or something like that. It is what it is. This is like the millionth free-to-play Krillin. So, I don't really like him because I don't really like HP restricted characters unless the HP restriction is like something ridiculously good. He also doesn't stack, so, there is that as well. So you can't even mitigate some of those, or like when you occasionally do get those huge, like big stat boosts, you don't even get that much because he doesn't stack. Like, could you imagine if this Krillin stacked and he can indefinitely stack and he could be good, quotations, good for like, say, festival, maybe not like amazing, but he could definitely be an option for sure if you're trying to do like a free-to-play run or something like that. And then occasionally he drops below his HP requirements. Then he just gets a huge 100% increase to his stats when he has like millions of defense, right? This is all hypothetical, right? Like you could definitely see where like this would come out as like he could be really good, or maybe the numbers don't go that high for this guy. But I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. I think he's a bad, card, but I mean, he's a free World Tournament card, so there's not really a lot to expect, but they don't also have to be bad, dude. The characters could be really good. And dude, he has so many individual procs for stats. Like he could be like a ridiculously good card if there was a lot of potential here, but definitely it kind of fell short, you know what I mean? Especially, dude, like say 150, 100, 150, 200%, and then multiple individual procs of of 30% and 40% if he's fighting a World Tournament participants category enemy. Like I said, a lot here if he were to stack to kind of build up his base stats so they're not like at, 30 something thousand, and then that multiplies. It should be like 400,000 that multiplies with everything, and then he looks pretty decent, you know what I mean? And he could be a raw stat, he could be a raw attack or raw stat monster, but he's not, right? But it is what it is. We're gonna finish up this run, then I'm out of here. Not really much else to say for World Tournament. Those are all the characters. I know that the update came out and then we have Bardock and stuff like that. But out of the 4 characters, what I like the best, honestly, I like Gotenks a lot. Strictly because he's a stacking character. And for just the Gotenks team in general, he's really good as a 60% support. He's very specific, but it doesn't make him bad. It just makes him a very, very powerful option for the very limited categories he's supposed to be run on, which is totally fine, especially for the free-to-play characters. Free-to-play characters, if they're just good on one team, let them be ridiculously good on that one team and kind of mid everywhere else. Dude, Bio Broly's ridiculously good on Uncontrollable Power, and he's kind of meh everywhere else, you know what I mean? But he's a free-to-play card, so that totally makes sense, right? And then, I really like Gotenks, but I like the synergy that Goku Black has with his team. You know what I mean? I would imagine the Goku Black team is gonna, and the Zamasu team is gonna get buffs and stuff like that here very close in the near future, or within this year for sure, in some way, shape, or form. So I could imagine the team being very good, or being another Majin Buu team. You know what I mean? Where it's a very good, solid villain team for 99% of the content in the game. That 1% being some very niche stages, right? And not really anything they're good 99% of the time, but that 1% they're kind of meh. You know what I mean? So I don't know. All right, I'm out of here. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to grind the World Tournament just up to 30 million just to get all the missions done. That's always very, very important. Outside of that, I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's just World Tournament. No more kind of less of the same thing. If you only had limited between the 3 that you could awaken, I would say Goku Black, Gotenks, and Max Power Jackie Chun. I would say that would be my order. The only reason I say it that way is because there's a lot of really good base Gotenks out there, but there's not a lot of really good base Goku Blacks. You understand what I'm saying? So, play it like that. That's my opinion. All right, I'm out of here. Hope you guys enjoy. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace. Take care.